Well, it seems like you need a PhD at minimum to understand the countless different strands of the Trump-Russia controversy/conspiracy theory. You have alleged Russian hacking, allegations of collaboration between the president and Putin, intelligence agencies spying on American citizens, and now, of course, a ton of congressional bungling. What to make of all this? Is an independent investigation needed to get to the bottom of it? Or should we just move on and try to forget this ever happened? Assuming anything happened at all. Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume joins us now. Hey, Brit, I go back and forth on this, whether this is pure politics or there's something deeper, and I'm leaning toward the latter now. I've had a couple members of Congress, on air and off, get emotional on this subject of Russian hacking or interference with the last election. And I'm starting to think that this really is kind of the touchstone in their view to understanding all of American politics. Do you think they believe it?
I think they may, Tucker, and I think the question is whether that is what this is about. That is to say, an effort by Russia to meddle in our elections, a hostile act to be sure, perhaps even, as Dick Cheney suggested, an act of war. I think if that was what this was really about, if that was what this case was really about, there would be almost unanimous bipartisan agreement that we all need to get to the bottom of it and find out what happened. However, there are two other elements that have become part of this as well. One of them is the question of whether the Russians were acting in collusion with the Trump campaign, of which there is scant evidence so far, but a lot of allegations and a lot of suspicions voiced about that. And of course, the final element is this question of whether the United States intelligence agencies, having incidentally swept up the names and information from or conversations by certain American citizens, then proceeded to mishandle that information. The identities, of course, in situations like that, as your previous guests have mentioned, are supposed to be masked. That is to say, not revealed, not even revealed across the intelligence agencies. And it appeared that those constraints were not observed in some cases here. Yeah. That is what Devin Nunes has been talking about as the chairman of that committee, and that is the information, or related to the information, that he apparently has been told confidentially from someone within the intelligence services. The Democrats, of course, would like this to be about the allegations of collusion, and the Republicans would like it to focus more on the allegations of the misuse of intelligence against American citizens by the Obama administration. My sense about this is that this reminds me of a lot of congressional investigations that I've covered through the years, in which there's a lot of politics involved. It's kind of an adversarial proceeding, and on one side, one party tries to adduce information that helps their side of the argument, and the other party does the other thing, and out of that kind of adversarial proceeding, truth often emerges. It did during Watergate, it did during Iran-Contra, and it has in many other cases. I don't think we're anywhere near in a situation where there's enough information on either those counts to go for some kind of outside special counsel.
You know what it reminds me of, and you were, of course, at the center of this, 1993, you covered this. Republicans couldn't understand how anyone could have voted for Bill Clinton. They just couldn't make sense of it at all. And so all these theories arose about running drugs in and out of Mena Airport or killing people, rather than just addressing it directly, that he had a message they may have disagreed with, but that was resonant with voters. I think the Democrats still don't understand why Trump won. And so they've made up this incredibly elaborate explanation having to do with Russia that is psychologically satisfying, but maybe not politically helpful long term.
I'm not sure how deeply they believe it, but they'd love it. They'd love it to be true, Tucker, because they believe, based on things apart from this, that Donald Trump is basically an illegitimate president, a man who has no qualifications for the job, is an execrable person, and should not be the president. And right. They're afraid that he will have the presidency for 4 years, and they'll roll back their agenda, and he'll cause all kinds of problems. And they can't stand the guy. No. And if it could be shown that he colluded with Russia to get elected, well, that would undermine his presidency almost totally. Right. That is what they're going for, and that, in my view, from their side of it, is what this is about.
Boy, they really, really don't like to lose power. It's unbelievable, actually. Brit, thank you for that.
Well, in my experience in Washington, nobody ever does.
No, that's true. Some are better than others, though. Thank you. Up next, a coalition of mayors